Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. It's been a while since I've posted a video. I am going to discuss a minor SHTF that happened with me to explain why I haven't done a video, and I will go over the different things that I think everyone should have to kind of prepare themselves for a situation like that. So, as of right now, my car should be going to a scrapyard. Uh, it's a 2016 Nissan Versa, and other than the battery and one of the wheels that I just put a tire on, I think Kelly Blue Book said it was worth about $800 because it was pretty close to 200,000 miles, and that kind of car doesn't last. But between 150 and 200,000 miles, it starts to have major problems, like the transmission going out at close to midnight, and me being almost 2 hours away from home. I think it was 83 miles when the transmission decided to give out. And it was me, my cousin in the car. I was going to pick him up to enjoy a fun weekend. Grandparents had gone to sleep. Uh, the wife possibly was asleep. It just depends on when she was feeding the baby. So she was able to pick us up about two and a half, between 2.5 and 3 hours later. And so our trip lasted about 3.5 hours longer than we wanted it to. So being stranded away from home, that's one of the more serious things on the list. And I could have called, some sort of towing service and, asked for a rental and, dealt with that whole situation. But being that close to home and having the ability to get a truck and trailer there to pick it up the next day, it's cheaper if you have, the tools and equipment, or know people that have the tools and equipment to, make those sort of things happen. But I have stopped countless other times when people have been stranded on the side of the road, and it has not been things as serious as that. It could be as simple as flat tire, you know, engine overheating, battery died, a whole multitude of things that, for a fairly inexpensive amount of funds, you can, spend a little bit of time and keep yourself moving. So, the different things that I recommend to have within your vehicle, and these are the things that I've got. It's one of those things when you buy a new vehicle, a lot of it can transfer over to the next one, but it's that first time initial purchase of these items. I've kind of switched from having jumper cables to having one of those little jumper batteries that are made to jump your car on your own 2 to 3 times. We still have jumper cables, but I really like, the independency of just being able to, if your car dies, you can jump it yourself and keep going. And a lot of those packs have a car charger that you can keep it topped off the entire time. But at a bare minimum, jumper cables. You can get them for, $20 to $30. You toss them in your car, and as you, go through the different vehicles, it moves along with your own vehicles. Having a jack stand, tire iron, tire patch kit, and having, a spare tire even if it's a donut, that donut will allow you to, limp on. It's kind of like the difference between being first aid certified and having your EMT and being a doctor. The first aid will allow you to limp to someone with more expertise than you. So the the tire patch came in handy because I ran over something massive. I had to put two patches in it just for it to hold air, and I still had to, stop every 60 miles or so to put more air in it. And I tried putting a third patch in, and I think I made it worse, but the patch allowed me to limp to the destination I needed to get to, and then the next day, because it was after hours, I could put more air in it and take it in somewhere. So I like to have a battery powered compressor. My grandpa has like a really big compressor that hooks up to the vehicle and can do it extremely quickly. Those are kind of expensive, but a battery powered uh, air compressor is something that you can easily put in with the tire patch kit. Most cars that you buy come with a tire iron and the jack. A lot of those jacks they're cheap, but they're made so they specifically fit somewhere where they hide away in the vehicle. So getting, you know, I think just going to, a auto parts store is a lot, and getting a standard jack, they're a lot more simple in my opinion. Like the one for my car, the tire iron was the T part that you had to put into a little hook to use the jack stand, and I quickly switched that out. Depending on the vehicle, you might have a full-size spare or you might have a donut. My car, even in the trunk space, it was big enough to put a full-size tire in there. So as soon as we had the funds, we had a full-size tire as a spare. So that's something that the donut can limp you somewhere. The full-size spare, can get you back on the road and going, as if nothing ever happened. And then, I really like using discount, and I get their, tire insurance, and almost every time it's been because of some nail or screw or something on the road that caused the flat. And, you spend for my car, it was $11. For my brother's truck, I think it was $24, but it's a lot more cheaper than buying a brand new tire. So that gives a little bit of peace of mind. But all of that gear is essential to not be sitting on the side of the road, hopefully waiting for someone else, to come rescue you. A few extra things that really help out, I used to keep a road flare with me because I thought they were cool. It makes fire, and, guys like fire. But I quickly switched out to, these little magnetic button lights that I could just magnet to the side of my car and use that as well on top of the hazards. And then they made little triangle ones that it could flip out and at least stand up on its own. That way you could put it further back from your vehicle. Depending on your situation, if you're able to get to the side of the road, most people, you see hazards on and they will get into the left lane. But depending on where you're at, having the light a little bit further away from you, just, it helps protect you. It lets other drivers know, there's some sort of thing happening with this person. Having a flashlight, super important, depending on the time of day. If it's 2 o'clock outside, you're not really going to need the flashlight. But, in our situation, when I was trying to diagnose the problem, hoping it might have been something simpler that I could have fixed, the flashlight was super important to look around and try to figure out what the problem was. Uh, so I don't really care what kind of flashlight you use. I use the flashlight that I keep in my pocket. It's one of the O lights. I think it's the i5R, and I like this one because I can hold it and use it, but I can also clip it to a headband and it turns into a headlight. As long as I have a hat with me, which most of the time I do. So that's like the auto side of things. But, there are situations that pop up where, you'll probably typically be stranded for a little bit. Uh, when we were talking to my aunt about it, because we had a bunch of time to kill and we were just talking with family, my cousin made the comment that, you know, Savannah's on her way, but she really could wait 4 or 5 days before we ran out of food. And that's because I keep 3 days worth of MREs in the vehicle with me. And then I like to keep other things, just depending on the mood I'm in. So, like right now, I've got applesauce that I keep with me. I'm getting ready to switch it out because it's getting warmer and I don't like warm applesauce and it kind of can go bad sooner. But Stinger bars, that's another option. Different types of protein bars, just non-perishable foods. It's a good idea to keep some of that in the vehicle, especially like crackers and chips and a little bit of candy if you have small kids, you know, just to keep their spirits up. And then having water is super important to have in the vehicle with you. Uh, I just so happened to have a case of water at that time because I picked it up for the house. But I also keep 3 Nalgene's in the car, and typically my Camelback, which is 100-ounce Camelback. And I try to rotate that water every few weeks, especially as it gets warmer. I like to rotate the water just so it's not getting warmer during the day and then cooling off at night. So I like to rotate it more often than not. So food, water, auto supplies, I keep an IFAC with me that's kind of, it's a step up from an IFAC. It's heading towards the direction of a trauma kit, but it doesn't have everything in there to really be a true trauma kit, as well as a boo-boo kit. Just go get your standard $20 first aid kit from Walmart and that'll do the trick. And then hopefully you're not in a dead zone, but I do like to keep something to kind of keep myself entertained. I was kind of out of luck on that because I had the last 3 books of the Percy Jackson series in my car, and I had unfortunately read all of them, but I was in a dead zone, so I ended up watching YouTube and enjoying that. But I do recommend, having videos and stuff downloaded, and we had a battery bank. The car could still turn on and we could keep our stuff charged. But I just had one of those, I think it's the On brand from Walmart. That's the 25,000 milliamp hour. And so we could keep our phones charged if we needed to, but it wasn't like a dire SHTF. It was more of a inconvenience kind of thing. And a lot of that stuff that I mentioned, I keep in a 72-hour bag so that I can throw it over my shoulders and, walk home if needed. So the 72-hour bag kind of goes into a different category for this. It has other things in there like a tarp. I keep my whoopee in there. I've got, extra socks and underwear, just different things that, complement all the things that I talked about. So if you want me to discuss the 72-hour bag, I can, but For now, I think everything that I mentioned is what any person should keep in their vehicle. That way they can, they hit that bump in the road and they're able to use the equipment that they have to keep on going. That being said, I remember this happening recently. I pulled over because someone's hazards were on, and it was, a 16-year-old that had just gotten his license. And he had all the stuff to change his tire, and I'm guessing the place that he put new tires on, they just locked him down really, really tight. Because it took a little bit of effort to get the wheel off, and he was struggling with it. I was struggling a little bit, if we're being completely honest. We definitely had to uh, use a lot of leverage to get him off, but also be able to use the equipment to fix whatever problem that you're fixing. You can have all the cool stuff in the world to make your life go as smoothly as it possibly can, but if you don't know how to use the stuff, you might as well not have it. But with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you learned something, subscribe to the channel. And if you care about a friend or family member, share the channel with them. And with that, catch you in the next one.